NATO summit in Vilnius started from this meeting. Judging from the news revealed on the first day, NATO accelerated the comprehensive upgrade of aid to Ukraine. The best time left for Russia now is not much longer. NATO summit Vilnius announced in 2023, NATO group average fee increased by 8.3%. NATO negotiators finalize Ukraine final communique on how to join NATO. Reports say NATO divisions are narrowing. At the same time, NATO aid to Ukraine is being fully upgraded. France announces the first batch of 50 long-range missiles, scope 300 km type cruise missile. Ukraine's Minister of Strategic Industry Alexander Kamyshin, he said, after receiving Turkey's approval, Ukraine began construction of the TB2 armed unmanned aircraft factory. It can carry over 180 kilograms of laser-guided bombs to carry out reconnaissance and armed attacks. Germany announces another aid to Ukraine worth €600 million, weapons, and equipment. It includes 2 missile launchers, Patriot Fire, 25 tanks, 5-star Bau-1A exhibition, 40 heavy infantry vehicles, Madr-1A3, 5 BREM armored personnel carriers, and 20,000 rounds of 155mm rounds and 5,000 rounds of 155mm smoke grenades. Rheinmetall AG will be available this year under construction in Ukraine, a new tank and armored vehicle production and repair plant. Russia's satellite network reports Ukraine, he said, and Britain, Germany, and Italy, 11 NATO countries, including the Netherlands and Denmark, are participating. Fighter Alliance supplies fighter pilots to Ukraine, training and maintenance support. Now the western part of Russia is almost completely all NATO countries. USA and NATO arms aid to Ukraine is gradually increasing, supply and delivery speed is accelerating. NATO countries are increasing military spending on domestic production. Investment of at least 2% is the biggest increase in decades. 11 NATO members this year met or exceeded the standard. This number is expected to increase significantly by 2024. Now, on the Russian-Ukrainian battlefield, the best window of time left for Russia is not much more. US and NATO artillery rockets in 2024, after a significant increase in production. After deliveries of F-16 fighters begin in 2024, add tanks in 2024. After armored vehicles and drones enter the Ukrainian battlefield until spring 2024. Millions of Ukrainian soldiers enlist in the army 2022 to 2023. Except for the dead, most of the rest will become veterans. The rate of veterans in the Ukrainian army will be very high. The Russian army wants to complete the full occupation. The foreman set and the planning to capture the territory east of the Dnieper will be increasingly difficult to complete, even after the Ukrainian army obtains the F-16 fighter jet and the artillery collection. The Russians are launching the Battle of Bakhmut. It will be very difficult, technically speaking, for F-16 to counter the Russian army, especially the Russian Air Force. There is a lot of pressure on F-16 over data link, as it is possible with multiple sensors and U.S. military early warning aircraft coordinated together. For example, the early warning aircraft and the radar system of the U.S. military can directly guide and command these F-16 fighters. This is the most troublesome. So the fighter is not like a plain shadow tank or a self-explosive cannon. There is a huge volunteer system behind the fighter aircraft reconnaissance and early warning aircraft jamming. When the Ukrainian plane is integrated into the NATO military system, when NATO borders pledged not to interfere in the Ukraine war, it was really fuzzy. After the start of delivery of F-16 fighters in 2024, Wu Jian's suffocation came to head because the AFC driver had him. The highest ranking currently have personal conjecture. The number of deliveries of F-16 fighters is between 30 to 50, making up for the loss. Although Russia's ground force has hundreds of thousands of troops, the elite army does not cost much ground forces in Russia. The real elite force is the 58th Marine Corps Skirmisher Group and Wagner Group. These elites add up to more than 100,000 men. They can't stand the attrition of a long and large-scale war. Russia will not compromise in the battlefield of home. For Russia, this is Lihua's battle in regenerating the land. But as Ukraine's power continues to grow and American and NATO troops continue to escalate, Russia wants to win the whole thing. The price to pay is increasing rapidly. Now the best time left for the Russian army is not much left. If Ukraine cannot be defeated in 2024, the Russian army is opening fire. The advantages of the fist of fire and the air have gradually decreased. The ability to fight later becomes more difficult. About the war of attrition, Russia has tens of thousands of tanks and armor in the U.S. warehouse. There are thousands of M1 tanks in stock and M2 infantry fighting vehicles. In addition, there are thousands of F-15 and F-16 fighters for long-term consumption. Russia may not necessarily have an absolute advantage.